foggy night at 221B Baker Street. The fog hung thick over London, clinging to the gas lamps like ghostly shrouds. Inside 221B Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes, a study in restless energy, paced before the fireplace. Emily, a bright and observant young woman who often assisted Holmes with his investigations, sat quietly by the window, her keen eyes scanning the street below. She was an unusual companion for the great detective, possessing a sharp intellect and an uncanny ability to notice details others missed. Holmes, Emily began, her voice cutting through the silence. The peculiar incident of the vanishing violin seems to grow stranger by the moment. Holmes stopped pacing and turned to her, his eyes gleaming with intellectual curiosity. Indeed, Emily, Lord Harrington's Stradivarius, a priceless instrument, vanished from his locked study with no sign of forced entry. The only clue is this. He held up a small, intricately folded piece of paper, an origami crane found on the floor. Emily rose and examined the crane. Origami is a delicate art, Holmes. It suggests a patient and meticulous mind. Perhaps someone close to Lord Harrington, someone with access to his study and a knowledge of origami? Holmes nodded. Precisely, Emily. We must consider the household staff, his lordship's estranged wife, and his rather eccentric nephew, all of whom had keys to the study. Their investigation led them to Harrington Manor, a grand but gloomy estate. They interviewed the staff, each with their own secrets and evasions. Lady Harrington, beautiful and aloof, claimed to know nothing of the missing violin. The nephew, a nervous young man with a penchant for gambling, stammered his innocence. Emily, meanwhile, examined the study. She noticed a faint scent of sandalwood, a detail that had escaped Holmes's attention. She also observed a small, almost invisible scratch on the inside of the window frame. Holmes, she called. Look at this. She pointed to the scratch. It's too high to be from the outside. Perhaps someone climbed in from the roof? Holmes, impressed, examined the scratch. Excellent, Emily, but how did they get onto the roof? There's no ladder or scaffolding. Emily then noticed a small, almost imperceptible smudge of mud near the fireplace. Holmes, the chimney! Perhaps they climbed down the chimney! Holmes' eyes widened. Brilliant, Emily. The sandalwood scent, the origami crane, the scratch on the window, the mud. They all fit together. The nephew, a known climber, likely used the chimney to enter the study, took the violin, and left the origami crane as a distraction. They confronted the nephew, who eventually confessed. He had hoped to sell the violin to pay off his gambling debts. The Stradivarius was recovered, and Lord Harrington was overjoyed. Back at Baker Street, Holmes congratulated Emily. Your keen observation and logical deduction were invaluable, Emily. You possess a true detective's mind. Emily smiled. Thank you, Holmes. It was a fascinating case. She paused. But Holmes, the origami crane. Why a crane? Holmes chuckled. Ah, Emily, that was the nephew's flourish. He knew Lord Harrington was fascinated by Japanese culture. He thought it would add an air of mystery, a touch of theatricality to his crime. He underestimated your sharp mind, my dear Emily. And as the fog continued to swirl outside, the two unlikely partners settled in for another evening of intellectual pursuit, ready for whatever mysteries the city might throw their way.